This is Gemara Rosh HaShanah Daf Yomi, all the learning for this week as we conclude the week, and we thank our very special sponsorship all the way from LA, Rav Mordechai, for the sponsorship. The schos, myself, and the entire Chabura, that we should continue learning with clarity together, as well as the learning should be Schoshidah V'Sochaim and the very Shemirim Bas V'Zal Gittel Shandetz Bas Shana Malka Lior Mordechai Ben Davar Shendel as Gittel Bas Davar Shendel, as well as Chosfru Shleim Shmuel Yus Ben Yafei Demen Ben Vega Chaim Yisrael Shalom Simon Reizel Yisrael Bas Knendel Ita Basim Bas Chayisai Yisrael Mendel Yisrael Shalei Shama Zami V'Shavigu Shechan Shmol V'Til Din Chan Reizel Mulka Chai Bas Min Aladin Iram Vashin Mendel Sviv V'Gevon Nechel Yisrael Nesel Huva Rivka Bas Hashem Zal Tumech Lester B'Soich Shar Chayle Yisrael. We pick it up on the bottom of Tes Amid Beis, continuing the halachas of the Arba Rosh Chodashim, the 4 new years, and we're in the middle of a Tishrei, which we ended off with. Tishrei is the new year for Netiyah. First of all, I just want to take one moment and thank everyone for their emails. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to everyone personally. I hope to. And I thank also Rav Bloom for your wonderful advice to switch around the name, because on the app and on different places it was hard to see which year it was. So I appreciate for that piece of advice. And again, I appreciate everyone who learns together. The schus of everyone is really what keeps everyone going. So let's pick it up. 4 lines from the bottom. Tasa midbeis Tanu Rabbanan. Echad Hanota Vechad Hamavrich Vechad Hamarkif. 3 different ways we're discussing newly planted trees. The first cousin of Netiyah, the planted trees, the saplings. Someone who plants a tree, someone who bends a vine into the ground and makes it grow anew. Echad Hamarkif, someone who grafts a new tree. In any of these cases, Erev Shvi'is, if it's Erev Shemitah, a few months ago, Shloishim Yom Lifnei Rosh HaShanah, 30 days before Rosh HaShanah, also Lo Shana. And so 2 halachas, we see number 1, that 30 days with regard to Shemitah is called a year. So if you planted something 30 days prior to Shemitah, it's called a non-Shemitah produce, and therefore you could be Makayim, you could continue it on Shemitah. And number 2, we see it's also Leishana, that it's considered its own year for those 30 days. And the Gemara continues with the flip side. If it's less than 30 days of the Rosh HaShanah, Lo Leishana doesn't work. And you can't keep it around in Shemitah. Moving along to today's daf Yomi, a bit of a shorter daf on the Amid Aleph. Upeiros and Netiyah zu asurin ad Tu B'Shvat. Interesting halacha. And the fruits of this planting are forbidden until Tu B'Shvat. Why is it interesting? It's interesting because we just said that it's a new year. Comes Rosh Hashanah, comes Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. But with regard to the fruit has the status of Arla or Ravai. We'll explain what that is in one moment. Until Tu B'Shvat. Arla and Ravai, very simple. Arla is the first 3 years of a tree. The fruits are forbidden to consume. They're called Arla. On the 4th year, it's called Ravai. The 4th year, you're allowed to consume those fruits. However, one special rule, it has to be consumed in Yerushalayim, a first cousin to Meiser Sheni, has to be consumed in Yerushalayim or redeemed and thereby brought up the Kedusha in Yerushalayim. So Arla, the first 3 years, you cannot eat. Ravai, the 4th year, you can eat in Yerushalayim. When does that year take a hold? So we said 30 days prior to Rosh Hashanah is called the year. So let's say you plant something in the middle of the summer, 2 months before Rosh Hashanah. Comes Rosh Hashanah, it's year number 2. The next Rosh Hashanah, year number 3. And those 3 years is forbidden. The next Rosh Hashanah is year number 4. But it contains the status of Ravai. The status, you have to eat the peiros in Yerushalayim. Until when? Until Tu B'Shvat. And let's just see the end of the first Rashi of here speaks out what we just said. Ubitesvav l'shana haba yatsu midei Ravai until the 15th. That's when it leaves the status of Ravai. Peiros hachanutin ba mikan ve'ilach lekach hu'ilu lalamid. So what do those 30 days help you? Shalafnei Rosh Hashanah shememayer etir mitesvav Shvat Rosh Hashanah. It helps you because then once Tu B'Shvat comes, it's the next year. No longer Ravai or Arla, depending on the year, and then you can eat it as you wish. So again, 2 halachas we just learned. Number 1 is 30 days is called the year, and it's called a non-Shemitah produce. And number 2, until Tu B'Shvat you cannot consume. It's called, has the status of Ravai or Arla. As the Gemara speaks out, Imla Arla. Then the Ravai. That's the din. That's the Braisa. Now the Gemara says, Minani Mili, where do we know this din from? Of course, we got into this because we spoke about again that Netiyah is the plantings go by Tishrei. And now we're continuing in that theme. When is the new year for the plantings, etc.? The different halachas. So we're saying it's 30 days. We're saying it goes until Tu B'Shvat. Minani Mili, where do we know this from? Amar Rav Chia bar Abba, Amar Rav Yochanan Matva B'Shmei Rav Yanai. Some said from a Yane Amar Kra. It says in the Torah 4 lines down, Yuram Aleph Ubishana Aravias, and it's on the 4th year, Ubishana Chamishis, and on the 5th year. Explains the Gemara. First, the Gemara explains the Isser of year number 4 is called Revayif in Yerushalayim. Then it says Ubishana Chamishis Pa'amim Sheberavias V'Adayin Asura Mishamarlo. Sometimes it's the 4th year and it's still Asra on Arlo. Why? Because it's until Tu B'Shvat. Sometimes it's the 5th year, but until Tu B'Shvat. So says the Gemara, that's what we know. That the halacha is that the 4th or 5th year goes from Rosh HaShanah, but it really extends until Tu B'Shvat, that it's forbidden until Az Arla for the first 3 years, as Ravai for that 4th year, they have to eat it in Yerushalayim. Says the Gemara, now let's go back. What was the halacha that we mentioned? That 30 days for this tree is called a year. Many people, I'm sure, were remembering, wait, we said something similar to this. Yes, back in Daf Beis, we said that 1 day constitutes a year with regard to the kingdom, regard to the kings, or Shana and Nisan. So says the Gemara, what we just said, Lema Deloik Rameir, seemingly it's not like Rameir. Di Rameir, Ha'amar, what does Rameir say? Yomecha B'Shana Chashiv Shana. And as you see back in the top, we're quoting the Gemara in Daf Beis. The first 1 day is called a year. The Tanya, as we learned in the Brayso, Par Amar Bat Torah. The par, when the Torah says that a carbon has to be a par, Stam. Then when the Torah says that it has to be a par, stam, without specifying the age, when the Torah says bring a carbon from a par, what's a par? 24 months and 1 day, which of course means 3 years, like the Gemara will explain, being that 1 year, the 3rd year, 24 months, 2 years, and 1 day, Rav Lazar and 30 days. So clearly Rav Lazar holds 30 days is a year, Rameir holds 1 day is a year. So our price that said 30 days a year is not like Rameir, it's like Rav Lazar. The Gemara explains further. Rameir says, whenever it says the word Egel Stam, Ben Shana, that's 1 year. Ben Bakar is Ben Shaim, is a 2-year-old animal. Par is Ben Shalish, is a 3-year-old animal. So explains the Gemara, how do we get 3 years? Rameir says 24 months and 1 day, Rav Lazar says 24 months and a month. So our price is seemingly not Rameir, it's Rav Lazar. Answers the Gemara, Rameir, 5 lines from the bottom. Kik Amar Rameir. When did Rameir say Yomecha B'Shana Chashiv Shana? Is only B'Saiv Shana, at the end of the year, at the end of the time period, 24 months and 1 day. That 1 day at the end of the block of time, that's called a year. That's called the 3rd year. Avu B'Tchila Shana, like by us, we're discussing the 30 days before Rosh HaShanah, starting off the whole party. Loi, Rav Meir would not agree. So says the Gemara, we can even be Rameir. When did Rameir say 1 day? At the end of a block of time, not at the beginning of a block of time. Amar Rava, and if anyone remembers, on Beis Amid Beis, we referenced the Taisvis that asked the question, and it was based on this Gemara, like we're about to see. Amar Rava, says Rava, it's the exact opposite. Again, let's just get it clear. You just told me that Rameir is in, that 1 day is called a year, is only at the end of the block of time. 24 months and 1 day is the 3rd year. But at the beginning of the block of time, the month prior to Shvius, then not. Asks Rava, no, Kal V'Chaimer, the opposite. When it comes to Anida, the beginning of a day does not count towards a full day at the end. Yet, let's explain. We're going to explain it in conventional terms with Nida, even though in the Derais level what I'm saying is not true. Let's explain. On Nida, we all know, can't go to the mikvah until nightfall. Why not? She needs 7 days of being clean. That's Derabanan. Daraisa, she just needs 7 days. Fine, whatever that is, let's leave that out for a moment. But on the 7th day, why can't she go to the mikveh the first moment of the day? Part of a day is considered a day. We know, for example, by Avelus, right? The 7th day, what happens? They sit for 1 moment, then they get up. Because Mixas Hayayim is considered a full day. So why doesn't the Nida do the same? The answer is no. That Nida she'ain tchila hayom b'seifa, at the end of this block of time, part of a day does not consider a day. Yet, at the beginning, if there's 1 moment in the day where she's clean, she begins her Zayin Akiyim. That's okay. So what's going on? At the end, she doesn't have. At the end, she needs a full time. But the beginning part works. Yet, says the Gemara, Shana, Explains the Gemara, when it comes to a year, when it comes to our case, we're talking about a series of years. When it comes to 3 years for the par, we know the Rameir holds that one day does suffice at the end of the block of time. Again, by a nida, part did not suffice at the end. You needed a whole. By a year, by a par cow, part does work at the end of a block of time. One day is enough. Says the Gemara, one day should work in the beginning. So says the Gemara, our Mishnah is not like Rameir. You wanted to suggest one more time that our Bryce that said 30 days could even be Rameir. When did Rameir say one day is enough? Only at the end of the block, but not at the beginning. Says the Gemara, we see from Nida the exact opposite. Because you see by Nida, at the end, it could be part, and it can't be at the beginning. Velamai, says the Gemara. So what are you going to tell me? Is that Rameir or Brisa? Rav Elazar, 1 second. Shleishim u'shleishim bai. Rav Elazar doesn't just require 30 days. He requires 60, 30, and 30. Why? Where do we get that from? The Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, 2 lines down, Yudam and base. Ein anoitin v'in mavrichin v'in markivin erev shviyas bachas milam yom the Rosh HaShanah. You can't plant, you can't graft, you can't bend the shoots 30 days before Rosh Hashanah, and if you did it, Yakar, you have to uproot it. Rav Yosi Omer says Rav Yosi, or excuse me, says, or Rav Yehuda actually is more precise. Says Rav Yehuda, Kol Arkava She'ena Kolet is Begimel Yamim. If it doesn't take root, it's not koil. It doesn't take root for 30 days. Shavena Kolet is not going to take root. Rav Yosi, Rav Shimon Oimrim, Shtei Shabbos is 2 weeks. Va'amar Rav Nachman Amar Rav Ravua. This is the critical line. So we had a machlokes. How long does the plant need to be growing? Need to take root before Rosh Hashanah to make it a non-shmita produce? But it explains Rav According to the first opinion, it says you need 30 days. 30 and 30. The Divrei Omer Shleisha. According to Rav Yehuda, that said 3 days. Everyone needs the amount of time to take root, plus 30 days to be called the year. So says the Gemara, Bryce says no, and you started off telling me the Bryce is not Rameir, because Rameir says one day. Says the Gemara, the Bryce can't even be Rav Elazar, because it's true Rav Elazar says 30 days, but really he holds 30 days to take root and 30 days to call the year, so you need 60 days, and the Bryce said 30. V'nami Rav Yehuda Svirulei, and if you can tell me it's Rav Yehuda Svirulei Gimel, you need 33 and not 30. So we have no opinion that our Brisa says will work with 30 days. It's not Rameir one day. It's not Rav Elazar 30 days, 60 days, I should say. It's not Rav Yehuda 33 days. Answers the Gemara, Oilam Rameir, we're going back, one big circle, really, it's Rameir, but Rameir held one day. But the Brisa said 30 was with regard to taking root. So you needed 30 days to take root. But wait, and then you need the extra 1 day to be called a year. He asked the Gemara, Lamed Aleph, you should need 31. Answers the Gemara, because of our Yom Lamed Lekan Ulekan. Rameir holds that day 30 works on both ends. It's the 30th day, and it can be called for the year. And that is the Brisa at the end of the day is going with the opinion of Rameir. Says the Gemara, now let's go a little bit more into the psukim. The psukim where we're going to learn that anything less than a year could have a din of a year. Amar Rav Yochanan, we're about 15 lines down. First word on the line is Ulakan, Yod Amid Beis. Amar Rav Yochanan, Shtei Mikra Echad Darshu, and they're both Rameir and Rav Elazar. The machlekes, whether it's 1 day is a year or 30 days is a year, is learning one pasuk. Vahi ba'achas v'sheish b'yeshana was in one, and it was in 1 in 600 years, 601 years. Barisha and Be'achad HaChodesh, the first of the month. Rameir Savar Milikati Yom Echad Hu Da'il B'Shana. According to Rameir, he holds that a single day that goes into the 601st year, V'Kakari Leishana, we're calling it a year. Shmamina Yom Echad B'Shana Chashav Shana. And of course, how time apropos. We just had the Mabul just last week and a half ago. And the truth is, we'll see tomorrow the ultimate Siyat Dishmaya. How next week, this coming week's Parashat Vayera is tomorrow's daf. Absolutely incredible. But that's Rameir that we see that 1 day is enough. Edach. I would agree to you. 1 in 600 years. The Shana is going on the Shana is going on the 600 and not on the 1. Umay achas, it said achas v'sheish me'ois. So it sounded like 601. Says Rav Lazar, no, it means 600. So what's the 1? At chalasa the achas kamar, it's going the beginning of the 601st year. So really, a day is not a year, says Rav Lazar. It said 601, means 600, and now we're starting the 601st year. For Rav Lazar, my time, okay, fine. So Rav Lazar, you defended Rameir's Makar that one day is called a year. But Rav Lazar, what is your source that 30 days is called a year? Says Rav Lazar, it says in the pasuk, in the first month, on the first of the month, says Rav Lazar, from the fact that it's only one day into the new month, it's a 30 days and it's into the new month. And we're calling it a month. We see already one day into the month, it's called a full month. That's not what we're looking for. But it sounds almost like a svara. Once you have a source that one day is called a month is called a year. And that is the source of Rav Elazar. And when a month, it's called according to its counting. V'shana l'menuyav. A day is a month is a year. It's perfect parallelism, and that is the source of Rav Elazar that 30 days is a month. Source of Rav Meir that one day is a month. Says the Gemara. To this, they take out this line, and this is really going to go into tomorrow's daf. And now we're going to go based on the way the Rav Elazar and Rav Meir just darshan out the psukim. Everyone seemingly is on the same page that the world was created in Nisan. Tanya, we learned in a brayso, and the truth is we're actually going to stop right over here because here we're going to start going into the psukim. We're going to see the wonderful, like we mentioned, the Siyat Shmaya of this week's parsha being in tomorrow's daf, and we'll pick it up here tomorrow, continuing the discussion of Rav Elazar that 30 days is a year, Rameir that one day is a year. We're going to talk about when the world was created, etc., tomorrow, and Mirza Hashem.